And let me tell you something. If you want to be a good trader, you should really consider training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is grappling. It's a fantastic martial art. I used to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't anymore, but I did it for years. I still am very active physically. I do not. I'm 7 days on, no breaks. I mean, I work out 6 days a week at the gym and I run. Today I woke up at 3 a.m., like I said, and I did a half marathon. I'm 60 years old. I take no days off, okay? And during the week, I wake up at 4:30 a.m. every day and go to the gym. But let me talk about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu incorporated into this martial art are some really powerful uh, sort of mental training, the physical training. For those of you, by the way, for those of you who want to get in shape, and if you're not into running or going to the gym, this is a fantastic way, an absolutely fantastic way to get into shape. I mean, an hour on the mats or a half an hour on the mats will whip your body into shape faster than you could ever imagine. I mean, you'll get muscle tone, you'll get stamina. Again, it's a really, really fantastic sport if you want to get into shape. And it's a lot of fun too. So that's number one. I do physical training. I've been doing it all my life. I was an athlete when I was growing up in high school and college, but I've always been working out or doing some kind of physical training. And for me, it's a discipline. I mean, it's a discipline not just for my body to stay in shape and my health, but also for my mind. I mean, a lot of people, I remember people used to say to me, what happens when you stop? I mean, why would I stop? It's a lifestyle. I don't stop. I'm going to do this until the day I die. And I have to do this, not just to feel good physically, but mentally. If I don't do it, I'm just not on my game. But let me get into the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu teaches you a lot of things that are very applicable to trading. Number one, it trains your mind to get comfortable with uncomfortable situations. Okay, when you're rolling on the mats with somebody, and by the way, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu teaches that a smaller guy can have an advantage over a larger guy because it uses submission techniques, it uses various angles on the body, into joints or chokes and things of that nature, where a smaller guy could have a very big advantage over a larger, more physically powerful person if if the smaller guy has the technique. And for a long time in the UFC, for anyone who has followed MMA, in the early days of UFC, and there were no weight classes. You had smaller guys going up against larger guys. There were no time limits. Those who were skilled in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they routinely destroyed the bigger guys. Then everyone started to realize, hey, I better get up to speed on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then the game became more equal, and they had to adopt other techniques and be more well-rounded. But in the beginning, and I've seen some of the older contests and the older competitions where the smaller guys would beat the bigger guys handily because of the techniques in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But number one, it whips you into shape. And that discipline of doing something every day or once a week or however often you can do it, that discipline is very, very important. We need discipline in trading. You need to have control over your mind, over your emotions, and over your body, all right? Number two, it trains your mind to handle uncomfortable situations. Now, all of you know that trading involves uncomfortable situations, like all the time, okay? Whether you follow my approach and methodology or whether you use some other system, a technical system with stop losses, you could have a series of stop outs and it's uncomfortable and it's frustrating, and you have to be able to handle that. Number three, kind of tied in with the last thing I said about handling uncomfortable situations, it teaches you patience. I mean, if I'm rolling on the mat with somebody and I get into a bad position, like he has the upper hand on me, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu kind of teaches you how to play defense in that situation and just wait okay, to be defensive and to take a position which the guy really has no advantage over you. He might have an advantage of being on top or whatever, but you wait patiently. It's uncomfortable, yes. You might have a guy larger and heavier than you, sitting on you, on top of you, or laying on you, or something like that. But it teaches you to stay patient until there is an opening or an opportunity to take advantage. Same thing in the market. I tell people, when we have a position on that is not going our way and it's uncomfortable, I say sit and what do we do? I get the emails. What do we do now? What do you do now? You sit and you wait. Because it becomes obvious when it's necessary to do something. This goes back to what I was talking about yesterday with Stoicism. We do not control the market. So if you are in a situation that is a challenging one where let's say you have an open loss position and the market is moving against you and it is not giving you an opportunity to make another move strategically to try to work out of that, you just have to sit and wait. You will know when it is time to make that other strategic move. But in the meantime, if the market is not giving you that and you cannot create that on your own, you cannot. Very similar in jiu-jitsu. If you are in a bad spot, you have to sit and wait until your opponent makes a mistake. The next thing it teaches you is not to quit. All right, you tap out in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when you have to tap out. In other words, when all your alternatives have been used up and you are at the point of either being choked out unconscious or getting your arm broken. Okay. We don't tap out for expediency. I mean, if you think about that, a lot of people who trade, they think it is wise to tap out or take a loss because that's the expedient thing to do. It's not, and I've shown you that. That is an illusion. That is a decision that is fraught with bad assumptions. That if you tap out, your next trade's going to be good. You don't know that. All right, so it teaches you to stay in there and fight until the very end, unless you are really forced to tap out, like the guy's going to choke you out unconscious or break your arm. Okay, I mean, I've had situations when I was rolling with guys when I was at the point of going to sleep. I mean, everything went white. I stayed to that point. I never let him choke me out into unconsciousness, but I was close. Many times I was close. Okay, and that would be I would draw the equivalency there of a forced liquidation. In other words, you're a broker, you're overextended. All right, you got in too heavy. You got a margin call, you can't meet the margin call, and you're going to be forced liquidated. Sometimes it's not your fault. I mean, I remember last year with that British pound flash crash, I had subscribers. They were a little bit overextended, but nothing I would really, admonish them for. But when that thing happened, and that's like a force majeure, we don't know, some crazy guy, and that night, I remember when that happened, unfortunately, a couple of guys did get stopped out because of a crazy thing. But that is also a lesson to lower your exposure. Okay, and if you lower your exposure, and now if you're whining and saying, well, how are we going to make any money? Then you're immature, all right, and then you're a gambler. So I would say go to Las Vegas and gamble, and don't come here, because this is not a venue here for gamblers. It's not a venue here for crybabies. It's not a venue here for impatient people. Mommy, daddy, when are we going to get there? This is not. I mean, this is for strong, tough, resilient, secure, confident people. That's what I offer here, all right? And I could train you to be that way, but you have to want it. So I totally recommend that you try out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You will really love it. I remember when I used to do it. The other thing, it just really gives you kind of peace. I mean, when you get out of that classroom after an hour of rolling around on the mats, I mean, you just feel like you're floating on air, man. Nothing bothers you. Nothing bothers you. When you're getting twisted around and somebody's trying to choke you out or break your arm, and you go through that, and you've sweated out, I don't know how many pounds of water, and you walk out of that gym, I mean, you just feel like you're floating on air. Nothing bothers you. Nothing bothers you. And that is key. That is so important when going into a trading situation. You just want to be not bothered. Remember I said seek stillness. I mean, this will instill that stillness. So you should definitely check it out. I'm sure you'll find, no matter where you live, I'm sure you'll find a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym somewhere close to where you live. Take a couple of lessons. I'm sure wherever you go, they probably offer like a free introductory trial, one lesson or something like that. Check it out. You really would like it. And the skills that you would learn from that are so applicable to trading. I mean, you're going to thank me. You're definitely going to thank me. So go check it out.